All right, Kendra, thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you. Thank
So we'll
you.
start, I guess, with just very basic. How did you end up here, your background, education, and what took you to AUP?
Yeah, so I went to Bard College at Simon's Rock for 2 years and did an away program in New York. And at the same time, I was looking to go abroad and applied to AUP. So then I transferred and finished my junior and senior year in Paris and had an amazing experience. I really connected with the community, with professors. I was involved with the Schaefer Center and had a student research grant, which was a fantastic experience to have in my undergraduate career. And Professor Sawyer oversaw my dissertation along with Professor Spieler. So anyway, very much coming back, um, coming to work at the center. So I graduated in 2017. I went on to work at the Anne Frank Center in New York City, and they do advocacy in anti-discrimination work within the education system. And then I did a master's degree at the London School of Economics in Human Rights, which was under the umbrella of sociology within their programming. Um, and then I have worked remotely with the Education Justice Project. Some work has been volunteer based and some work has been paid. Um, I created some digital learning materials about restorative justice projects, which I had studied a bit at the London School of Economics. So, all that to say, that's sort of my background. I wanted to come back to Paris. I would like to be bilingual. I eventually plan to go to law school. And I reached out to Professor Sawyer as I had attended several of the center's events. Particularly, it was Professor Spieler's Race, Law, and Justice Symposium series. And I was really interested in the work that was being done. And very fortunately, as I was arriving back, a position opened up within the program. So I'm very happy to be here and be involved.
Awesome. We're very happy to have you back in Paris, back at AUP, and within the center. You're under the Schaefer Center. You said you did your dissertation there. What was your dissertation in? What was your topic?
I had done an internship with the Global Justice Center before coming to AUP, and I had done a little bit of research into Rwanda previously. So then I spoke with Professor Perry about it a little bit because I'd taken her human rights law class, and sort of from my internship experience and from my academic experience, I shaped a research project around women's voices in post-conflict Rwanda. Um, so I did sort of interdisciplinary assessment of the situation for women and how feminism was sort of produced within the narrative of Rwanda's reconstruction, and then how it materially sort of manifested within women's lives using the Schaefer Center's archival resources, which was fantastic.
That's really interesting, actually. Um, and that, so how do all of your interests kind of fit under the umbrella of what the center's work focuses on, particularly with the DRAD project and the scope of democracy within Europe, within France particularly?
Yeah, yeah. Um, that that's a great question. Um, so there's sort of a variety of answers to that. In terms of the DRAD project, I was really curious to see how a collaborative, large-scale research project such as this would come about. And I've just been reading some of the reports, and I'm very impressed, of course. Also, it seems very interdisciplinary and that it has a great variety of outputs, which I think is very cool. But also its sort of critical engagement with this contentious issue. I think that, um, academia is the space for that kind of assessment and that kind of documentation. So I'm excited to be supporting those research efforts. And then also, I am excited. I really enjoyed the events that I was able to attend digitally within the Race, Law, and Justice Symposium series. And I'm excited about the upcoming perspective series of democracy and de-radicalization, and then the digital demos. My um, master's dissertation when I was at LSE sort of incorporated a little bit of STS. So I wrote about mass incarceration and the pivot to mass supervision in the United States, and the ways that technology is an accelerant in sort of the production of alternative categories of citizenship. So the carceral citizen as like a post incarceration product, and then how and technology and digitization are not entirely equivalent things, of course, but I've done quite a bit of research into the trends of digitization and how that sort of interacts with the social sciences. So anyway, both of those things, very exciting.
Yeah, that's tremendous. Yeah, especially with several of the programs that the French government has tried to implement post 2017, with some of the this goes into, I think, some of your restorative justice interests of trying to reintegrate um, these suspected, perpetrators, or whatever term you want to use, in some of the reintegrating them either through through however they work, and getting these people back into French society, or within
Yeah.
out of their own subsect minority societies into our mainstream society. And so that would be a really interesting thing to look at, is, and how technology runs it, because that's, my interests now are very much technologically based,
Yeah.
heading into the master's in data science and human rights. So
Is
that's
that with Professor Perry?
it is absolutely.
Yeah, that's
um,
fantastic. No,
so
I'll be very curious to hear you talk about that.
yeah, no, so we should talk more about that later on. And then, so moving on, how does your work, I guess, within the center, your interests here push you in the future toward, you mentioned wanting, moving towards law school. How does that all kind of fit together?
Yeah, that's also a great question. I think that there's the specific work that the center is doing, and the exposure that I'll have to the DRAD project, to the variety of academics associated. And then I think also just sort of gaining the practical skills within a research community, which I think is valuable regardless of if I choose to go sort of into very I don't even know what the adjective is, pragmatic, technical sort of lawyering in the future, or if I like retain some connection to the academic community. I feel like I'm being like interviewed for law school now. This is great practice, but I need to think about the answer more because that's a good question. But yeah, like I said, I think kind of broad-based exposure both to the content and to the practice of research and like academic community engagement with specific issues.
That's excellent. All right, Kendra, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. It's great to
Yeah,
have
thank
you.
you. It was great to talk to you. I'll see you soon.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.